All right, let's talk about America's team themselves, the Dallas Cowboys, everyone's favorite team to talk about, and they're in an interesting spot. I mean, there's no denying that, okay, where they're at right now, they don't have as much cap space as they maybe had in previous years. They can't throw out these $100 million contracts like they were able to do in the past. A big chunk of that is because you're paying Dak Prescott a lot of money right now. And it's not like the Mahomes contract where like his cap hit was super low early on. Prescott's contract is still over $30 million right now. So, that's a factor. It's not the only factor. You're paying Jalen Smith $10 million to not play for you, so that's another factor. But let's talk about kind of where they're at, what their free agents are, and how much cap space they have. Okay, so here we are. So Cowboys cap space, negative $21 million. Okay, not ideal. But if you didn't have any free agents to sign, it wouldn't be the worst in the world. The issue is they also have some free agents they're going to want to sign. Actually, in fact, a decent amount of free agents they probably would hurt to lose, certainly. And what you see the free agents underneath and the number next to them, that's how many millions of dollars PFF projects they will make in free agency. So, first, like Randy Gregory at the top, projected to get about $13 million as an edge rusher. He might be someone you just let go. You say, hey, we have DeMarcus Lawrence and we have, Micah Parsons. Like, we're okay at edge. We don't need to spend $13 million on Gregory. Probably what I would do at this point. Like, obviously you never want to lose someone for nothing. Maybe you tag and trade him or something. But that's kind of where you're at. And again, the franchise tag could help you out potentially to get somebody. Like, I think Dalton Schultz might be a franchise tag candidate. The tag for tight ends is not very high, and he had a really good year last year. So he's kind of almost what the franchise tag is built for. Someone who has a really kind of a breakout season in his last in his contract year. You tag him, give him one more year and see if it's a fluke or see if that's who he truly is. Also, Michael Gallup, who, listen, the Cowboys to some degree might say, hey, listen, we have CeeDee Lamb, we have Amari Cooper. Do we need a third really good receiver? Maybe we can just let him walk and just kind of say, okay, we'll have, whoever we want. Cedric Wilson's also a free agent. We'll get into that. But we'll have someone kind of fill that void. Personally, I'm kind of the belief of the reason why the Cowboys were so good last year was because they had, three really good receivers. So why take away one of your biggest strengths? The teams that tend to do well in the NFL these days are the ones with great receiving cores, so I would keep that. But again, teams have different philosophies on this stuff. Also, Connor Williams, if he's only projected to get $7 million, I certainly would like to, I think that's a fair deal for him. I would like to keep Connor Williams because, again, good guard who plays a lot. So, yeah, okay, I'll keep him. Leighton Vander Esch is another interesting one, projected to get $9 million. Obviously, he was a first-round pick who certainly showed some real flashes, and quite frankly, is still a good player. He was good last year. He's not a bad player by any means. He can play football well, although his rookie year was certainly his most impressive year, I would say, and has kind of been yet to live up to that hype. But, so what do you do with Vander Esch? Do you just let him walk? You could kind of think about the same thing with Randy Gregory. It's linebacker isn't a complete bust of a position because you have Micah Parsons and you even you have Jabril Cox who you drafted last year. Maybe you stick it out with him as well. Or again, maybe you add someone at a cheaper option, but you could also keep him. You would want to keep him. It does hurt to lose him, I would say. So again, I already talked about Cedric Wilson, but solid receiving option. He's probably the guy you do have to let go. I don't think you can just get rid of him. Jaron Curse was a good safety for them. I don't think you want to just get rid of him either. He played basically every snap for them. He's someone you want to keep on your roster. And then Malik Hooker is another player who, again, solid safety for them. Do you want to just get rid of him? I don't think you do. And for only $3 million, that's kind of a steal of a contract. But with all of these guys who I want to kind of keep most of them, they would need $69 million to do it, meaning they'd have to clear $90 million to sign everybody, which is going to be tough. Now, again, worth mentioning that this is the team that spent about $70 million over the salary cap last year. So you can do it. It's not impossible to do. This isn't like you have no chance of being able to pull something like this off. Or maybe you just let, like I said, you could let Randy Gregory go, and maybe you franchise tag Dalton Schultz to save a little bit of money. Maybe you let Leighton Vander Esch go as well, and then you can kind of also let Cedric Wilson go, and you kind of have enough money to sign everybody. And it's again keep kicking the can down the road, the New Orleans Saints strategy. Going over to players they could cut, again, not a lot here. I mean, so the first one, Amari Cooper, I put on the list. He's someone who, again, would save you $16 million if you cut him. Is this something I would want to do? Probably not. He's a really good receiver. So again, the logic of cutting Amari Cooper to sign Michael Gallup, I feel like that's like what are we doing here? Like, no, just keep Amari Cooper at that point. But again, I put him on the list. You could consider it if you want to. Anthony Brown's an interesting guy. He's someone who PFF really likes, and it seems like Cowboys fans really dislike. I don't think he's very good, so I don't know. That's interesting, but he would save $5 million if you decided to get rid of him. You also have Blake Jarwin, who maybe you re-sign Dalton Schultz, and kind of the way you do that is you cut Blake Jarwin, who would save you $4 million. That could make it just a little bit easier, for sure. Also, like Jordan Lewis, he's another corner who, fine. I think paying him $2 million is fine. But again, if you have to cut someone, he's someone you could cut. Also, Greg Zuerlein. Again, sometimes these special teamers are the guys that are the people that you cut if you don't have the cap space to get some of your starters and the guys the quote unquote real football players is what people would refer to them as, like the guy, the start offense or defensive players. Sometimes you do see these special teamers get cut, so you could see that. Anyways, let's look over here now, because this is always important when previewing, where a team needs to go from here. So this last season, where were they at? And I think it's important to mention that there's a lot of good stuff here. So this is where they ranked in terms of PFF grades for each of these positions. So passing, 7th best. So you could sit here and say, that Dak Prescott contract, that's tough. That puts you back. But the flip side is, well, look at what he did. Like, he was a good quarterback for you. So you're getting good quarterback play because of that contract. So that's the flip side is, yes, it makes it a little more difficult to sign some other guys. But again, as I mentioned, that's not the only reason. Like, everyone talks about that stuff, but Prescott's cap hit is $35 million, just about. DeMarcus Lawrence's is $27 million. Amari Cooper's is $22 million. Zach Martin's is $20 million. Ezekiel Elliott's is $18 million. Tyron Smith is $17 million. Leo Collins, $15 million. So you have all those guys getting over $15 million. So that's a big chunk of why it is, but at least you're getting talent out of, Dak Prescott. I mean, at least, and not just him, some other guys as well. So at least he's like living up to the cap hit so far. Also, best offensive line in football. That's good. Hopefully you can keep that going. Second best receiving core in football. Again, kind of some question marks of are you going to lose some pieces? But if you can keep Michael Gallup, you're keeping that great advantage. The running game here, that's something that you would probably will keep because Tony Pollard's really good and Elliott's not bad. Elliott's another guy who, if you cut, you would only save $3 million this year, but then next year you would save $9 million and $14 million in 2024. Weird contract. Don't know what happened there. That was stupid. But anyways, still, they're a good team. The run defense is the problem, but you can improve the run defense through the draft and through depth draft pieces. And then pass rush and coverage was good last year. So you have stuff that you can feel confident about. There's a quality team here. I do think one question that you could ask, which I think is fair to ask, is coverage is notoriously a position that will be great one year, bad one year, great one year, bad one year. It's hard to predict. It's a lot easier to predict pass rush, right? So the fact that they have a good pass rush, we can probably say, okay, next year, as long as they keep all or at least most of the same guys, they'll probably continue to have a good pass rush. Coverage doesn't quite work out that way. And, there's the very interesting discussion about Trayvon Diggs and how do we feel about him? Is he a superstar corner? Is he a bad corner who has gotten lucky? I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think he's a good corner who has great ball skills and also got a little lucky. I think all of that can be true. But the question is, will he still have, he's not going to get 10 interceptions again. So are you going to get the turnovers you got last year? Probably not. Could the defense regress a little bit? Probably a little, but you could also improve on the run defense to make up for that without spending too much resources doing it. So that's kind of where it, it gets a little bit interesting there. So the reality is that this Cowboys team, they're just fascinating because on one hand, you look at this team and say, man, they got bounced out first round and now they have some cap issues. The other thing you could talk about is they weren't too far off from getting the 1 seed this year. And if they get the 1 seed, maybe they win the Super Bowl. Because it's weird to really sit here and, I guess they would have still played San Francisco, or maybe not. We don't know what would have happened. But kind of, it's weird because they got bounced by San Francisco, who's just such a unique team. It's like they're so built way different than other football teams. Dallas like built their team to beat like other teams, not San Francisco. That's kind of their biggest weakness. It was a bad matchup for them, and they could have made some noise had they maybe had just a different route. So again, do they win the Super Bowl? That's probably not. It still would have been tough to beat the Rams regardless, but they at least could have gotten further than maybe they did. I think they were at least a top 8 team in football last year. But what happened again? That's the question. So I think for the Cowboys, really what it comes down to is keep as many of your key players as you can. You'll probably lose some guys, but just hope that you lose guys in a way that doesn't kill you too much, and then continue to draft well, because they do, for the most part, draft well. So we'll see if they do that again. That's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know. What are your thoughts on the Dallas Cowboys? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.